Hi guys, I thought I would do kind of a tutorial. I've done one a little bit similar to this before, but I want to make this super easy how I make a very simple junk journal. This one is kind of like a tutorial for beginners, like beginners, like you haven't made your first junk journal yet and you want to start but you're overwhelmed. Now, if you've been making junk journals, I'm still going to be giving a few tips and things that I'm still figuring out that might help you along the way. But I kind of want to do a start to finish basic junk journal that's still super cute, but doesn't have all of the over the top stuff that might kind of scare you a little bit. So there's a few things I'm going to really suggest if you're brand new to junk journaling, and that is a digital junk journal kit and a paper pad. I suggest you get one of the hot buy ones from Michael's when they're 70% off, because they're $5.99 and you get 48 coordinating sheets. And if you're like me, especially when you're starting out, it's nice to have a set that coordinates so that you know everything in the paper pad looks good together. So we're going to be working with this digital kit from Tsunami Rose. I will link her Etsy shop below. Her prices are very good. She has beautiful sets, and this is her hummingbird one, and you can either order this one in the prayer journal version or the plain version. They still all have hummingbirds, but the prayer journals have inspirational quotes and Bible verses. The plain one, wouldn't. Like, this one doesn't have any. This has everlasting love, have courage and be kind, the Lord is my strength. And I'm going to do a very quick flip through of the kit and some of the things I didn't cut out or use. I will be using them in another journal at some point, and a couple of the things I might put in this journal. But what I'm trying to show you is you do not have to use everything in the kit, and you can reprint them multiple times and make each journal look different. So after, what I usually do is print out the entire kit. Sometimes, I only choose a few pages, but like this time I printed out a whole kit, and there's so much here. And if you've seen my videos, you have seen how I use these pages in multiple ways. Sometimes I make pockets with them. Sometimes I do ink blending on the back of them. Sometimes I use punches and punch different things out. I cut them down. I collage. I mean, there's so many things you can do. That's not what this video is about. This video is the absolute basics and how you do not have to know how to do pockets and tuck spots and clips and ribbons and glues and tapes and all these different things for each thing. You can just have a kit and the paper pad and start from there. So I love these telegram ones. There's so much here. I mean, so much. It's just amazing. Here's some Bible verses on these postcards. And I'm making this prayer journal for a friend, and so I will be adding a few of those. So when you print your kit out, if you're new to junk journaling, the reason why I suggest a kit is because these pages, they're pretty much already, they're meant to be folded in half and used. Okay, and then you can cut it down, cut the edges off a little bit like I did here. So what I did is I went through and I picked out, I'm doing, this is only going to be like 40 pages. When I mean 40, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. One sheet is 4 pages. So this inside, here's one tip, and this tip is for beginners or people who've done it for a long time. I've done a lot of videos on what to do with the white space on the back of your scrapbooking paper in your digital kits. So this is my newest attempt, and that is to print something on the back with your printer. You can either print another page from the kit on the back, so it would be, kind of like this. And I've done that before. But this time I printed the whole kit out. So every single back, I didn't double-side it. So what I did was I went online and I found a site that had different kinds of ledger paper and things, or I also have a bunch of vintage backgrounds, and I print it on the other side. So I printed ledger paper on the other side. I thought it would be great in a prayer journal for maybe, you could turn it this way and write who you're praying for and when you prayed for them, or, if you're not doing a prayer journal, it would be a great habit tracker or something like that. I will link her blog below. I think this is melsstamps.blogspot.com, and she does allow commercial use and personal use of her images, and they're free, and she has quite a few of them, but I just used this one because I thought it went well with the kit. So that's a beginner or a pro tip. And okay, so what I did, let's move my coffee dyed paper out. Normally when I do a journal, this one's going to be a little bit smaller, so it's not overwhelming. Normally when I do a single signature writing journal, it's 60 pages. So it's 15 pages folded in half. This one is only going to be 10 folded in half. 5 prints, 5 coffee dyed. Okay. Actually, this isn't coffee dyed. This is rainbow dyed, food coloring dyed. These are reds and yellows, and it kind of makes a pink, yellow, orangey, peach color. My table's shaking. My baby is grabbing it and shaking it to add to the effect and ambiance, I'm sure. So I kind of try to do about half and half. You don't have to. You can do anything you want. But if you're trying to find some kind of a formula, I would suggest about half and half. So when you choose the papers that you want, you could either choose them out of the printed kit or just choose them to print. Then you have to decide what to do on the inside. Like I said, you can print something on the inside. You can leave it blank white. You could print it and then you could coffee dye or tea dye the whole thing. You could stamp, you could cover it up, like glue a piece of scrapbook paper on it. You could use distress inks. I have a lot of videos, if you look back in my YouTube channel, of what to do with blank pages. So there's a lot of options. If this is your first time, I would suggest, if you're good with a printer, just print something on the other side. If printing things, especially double-sided, is stressful for you, then I would suggest that you either leave it blank or you go ahead and coffee or tea dye or food color dye it. Well, maybe not food color. That could still be really pretty, but that you would dye it when you dye your other papers. And that way it would totally be ready. So then you fold all of them in half. You could trim them down to whatever size you want, but really, if you want it to be easy, just fold them in half. So I have these folded in half, and I have my dyed pages folded in half. And usually I like to add a piece of music paper in here or a dictionary page in here or something like that to make up a few more pages. But we're not going to do that. We're going to assume that you are brand new and you don't have those books yet, or you don't want to go searching through them. So if this is your first journal, take your papers and then make it super easy. Decide whether you want to start with patterned or you want to start with dyed paper. We're going to start with patterned. So I'm just going to take patterned. Then I'm going to set the dyed in there. Then I'm going to grab my net. Now I have some that have words printed on them and some that don't. So I did picture, dyed paper, words, dyed paper, picture, dyed paper, words, dyed paper, picture, dyed paper. So then you should have a little book forming, just like so. All right, so that's your book. And then for the cover, You could either, if you have a long stapler, you could staple it here. I don't actually have one that long. I'm going to use my sewing machine, and I'm going to try to take the camera over there to actually show you how I do it. You could hand stitch it with a pamphlet stitch. I have a video how I've done that, and lots of people have done videos on that. But honestly, if you have a sewing machine, I'm going to show you how easy it is to do a small book with a sewing machine. You could just leave the cover like this, but I'm going to show you how to make a little bit of a sturdier cover. Super simple. I've done this on a video before, but I've modified it a little bit since then, and it's always nice to see it more than once. So I chose 2 papers from this paper pack. Remember, if you get a paper pack, they all coordinate together. So I chose these 2 papers because I really wanted to pick up on the blacks in here and the floral, and I just really liked how it went with the hummingbird. So this is going to be my front. This is going to be my inside. So if you're using 8.5 by 11 sheets of copy paper for your paper, these are slightly smaller because when I printed them on the printer, there's a little border of white that I trimmed off. So they are slightly smaller, which is totally fine. You can do all mixed size papers. But if you're going to take your copy paper here, fold it in half, it's, okay, so 8.5 by 11 means this is, what, 5.5 by, or 5.5, yeah, whatever. I can't think. 8.25 by 5.5. So 8.25 by 5.5 fits really well in a 9 by 6 cover. That's what I've been doing, and I've done it many times, and I'm going to show you a really cool way. Okay, so you're outside. We're gonna take our scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, you don't have to use one. You can just fold it, but this just makes it easy for me. I'm going to show you how to make a pocket on the cover too, okay? So if we're doing a 9 by 6, then we're going to fold it at the 9. And I'm using the scoreboard to help me make that perfect, but you can just measure with a ruler and fold it as well. Okay. Then you do not have to cut this page down at all. That's all you have to do. And that is the front of your cover. So then when you fold it in half, like so, so this is how it would be. Front, back. Now, to reinforce it and to make this coordinate, I've got this piece, and I'm going to cut it down to 9 by 6. Let me take it over to my cutter. 9 by 6. So actually it's 9 by 6 folded, so it's still the full 12, and then we cut it to 9. Sorry about that. 9 by 12. There we go. Okay. So 9 by 12 will fit exactly in there. And then here's your pocket. And that's how the cover is. So you could glue this down in there and just tape or glue or washi tape the edges, but I'm going to use my sewing machine and just sew all the way around here. So I'll be right back with that. So here is how it looks all stitched up. All I did was zigzag all the way around the edge, and you can just use your basic universal needle. Everything is in there super secure. So you take your pages that we just put together, and I grab 2 big paper clips just to kind of keep the pages from slipping, because they will slip. And then I place it right there, and I'm going to put this into my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew, backstitch, sew, backstitch, and that's it. So let me go do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so there you see, just sewed right there. We remove the paper clips, and your book is done. Anything after this is just up to you. You could leave the cover like that. You have a pocket here, You have all your pages for journaling or putting pictures. You have a pocket in the back and the back. But I'm going to guess that you probably want a picture on the front. So I would suggest that you look through your printable kit or your scrapbook pad and you find an image that you like. So let's see. Sometimes it's hard to make that choice because they're all so nice. Okay, we're going to do this one here. And then just grab your scissors and fussy cut out the picture you want on the front. If you've been using a sewing machine, then I would suggest you add some sewing detail to it. If not, then just leave it the way it is. Okay, so as you can see, we can put the picture on there, and if you want to add that little bit of coordinating paper, wherever I put it. Okay, so you can just grab something from your scrap bin or another part of the kit. I'm grabbing this piece of music paper, and then I'm just going to rip some of it to fit here. Kind of add a cool edge. Here we go. And then you just play around with the placement until you like it. There we go. I like that right there. So what I'm going to do is go take this to my machine, stitch around it, and bring it back. Okay, so as you can see, I added just some stitching around it. And you could stitch it to the actual cover, but my hack is that I stitch it and then glue it on. That way it doesn't slip and I get the placement exactly where I want it, but it still looks like it's stitched on. So I add my glue. Then I can place it exactly where I want it. There we go. And that is our very simple cover. Now you could add buttons, you could add lace, you could add a whole lot of other things to it. But I'm going to leave it really simple to show you it's not that difficult. And so there, you're done. You can be totally done here. Then you could add pictures and journaling, and you have a beautiful gift to give or a beautiful journal to write in. So this is basic, basic, basic. You can also go back through your printables in the kit, and you can cut out some of those prayer cards. Where were they? Here we go. There's envelopes, there's little journaling cards, and you can paper clip them throughout here, and that's super easy without anything, you know, too crazy. So let's just do one so we get the idea. All right, so see these journaling cards here? I'm going to take my scissors and just pick one of them to cut out. I want to do a video on how to embellish paper clips, but that's not basic, and that's not, you know, first time. So we're just going to grab a plain paper clip. I'm sure everybody has those. And then I'm just going to flip to a page, any page, and I'm just going to clip it on. And you can just do that with a few things throughout the book if you want to. And simple, but yet really pretty journal, step by step. Didn't take long at all. So I hope that answered a lot of your questions for beginners. And if you have any more detailed questions, please just leave them in the comments below, and I'll either try to answer you in the comments or I will try to do a video answering your questions. Thank you and have a great day.